don't know how to do an intro.
Do you have an intro?
No, I don't. I mean,
Artful Insights with Marcella, Abby, and Stone.
period. Yeah. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Artful Insights. I'm your host, Marcella McCallie. I'm with Abigail. Say hi.
Hi.
And then I'm also with my friend Stone.
Yeah.
We are currently having a good old time with this microphone. What we're going to do is, so I kind of just brought them here. They're like my little guests. I think that they're just kind of going to be riffing off of me as I talk about this specific art project. And, well, the specific art project, we'll get into that in a second, but it's a very famous piece, or even if it's not considered famous, I consider it famous because I look at it like every time I go to the art museum, or Milwaukee Art Museum, is Carousel Merge 2 by Sam Gilliam, which was created in 1971. And I have not showed either of them this piece yet. Me and Abby are from Wisconsin, so if she's been in the Milwaukee Art Museum, I'm sure she's seen it before, because it's insanely big, but Stone has no idea what this is. So I think it'll be very interesting. It's a blind reaction kind of thing. I didn't tell them beforehand. I wanted it to be a surprise so then I can get like true thoughts.
Mm-hmm. I haven't been to the art museum in like 10 years, so I would not.
10 years?
That's why I want to go.
Okay, well, how close are you to the, well, actually, you're not like that far, are you? Because I'm not that far either.
No.
Okay, well, Stone doesn't know what we're talking about.
That's because the only museum I've been to was the Smithsonian Museum
That's
in
a good,
DC.
dude.
And I've been to like 3.
Yeah, I love the Smithsonian, dude. Like, what's your favorite thing in the Smithsonian?
Honestly, couldn't tell you.
I like dinosaurs.
Yeah.
I like I like that really big elephant that's like in the middle.
Ooh, yeah.
That one, or like I feel like I like the other Smithsonian better, which sounds like really tacky because it's got like the Muppets there and like Dorothy's shoes, and I think it has Captain America's shield too, right?
I feel like it might, yeah.
I think my friend took a picture in front of it, and I remember getting really jealous because like I had I don't want to say I had. I mean, like I had / have the biggest crush on like Bucky Barnes, Sebastian Stan. Oh my god.
I have a really big crush on Chris Evans, so like.
No, I'm a Sebastian Stan girly.
I don't know.
Okay.
See, but that's what makes us best friends, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Opposites attract.
Yeah. No, opposites attract. Are you guys ready to jump into it?
I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Right, Sean?
Yeah.
All right. So, like I said before, the piece that I'm showing is called Carousel Merge 2 by Sam Gilliam. I think I said Gallium before, so I said it wrong. It's Gilliam, which was created in 1971. So I'm just going to show you guys it first. This is a blind reaction. I'll give you guys some time to look at it, and then we'll kind of keep going from there. So this is the one that I chose for my art piece. I don't know if you've seen that before.
I haven't, but that's really pretty. I like that.
So, how about that?
Nice.
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 I just want you guys to give me like 2 things that kind of come to mind. So, how would you describe this to someone who like may be visually impaired or like cannot see?
I would describe it as more just, it's very abstract with a lot of colors, per se.
Mm-hmm. So, like, what kind of colors like would you see? If you need me to show it again, I can always show it.
It's like all the colors, and it's very colorful. And I'd say, like, okay, I don't know if they know what a circus tent looks like, but it's like in the shape of a circus tent.
Okay.
I really like that.
Or if they can't see colors, just say it's every colors, because that's what it really has.
Yeah.
Every colors that you would know of.
Like the rainbow colors.
Okay. So, like, what are your like personal initial thoughts? Like, what do you guys think of it? Just like in general, from a personal perspective.
Well, I was gonna ask, is it like a photograph or is it like a sculpture kind of?
So this is like something that actually is hanging from the ceiling at the Milwaukee Art Museum. So this is just a photograph of it,
Mm-hmm.
but I do not know the specific height, and maybe I can insert it later. But it's pretty big, and like I have other pictures to show as well of like it being installed and stuff, which we'll kind of go through after. But it's pretty big.
Okay.
So it's an installation.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't. I don't know if I would. It can't be called a sculpture. I guess.
Yeah, I know. I didn't know exactly what to like
Right.
call it, but no, I think that's really cool, and I'd love to see it.
To be honest, I kind of just asked why.
Hmm.
More of just a why.
Okay. What do you mean? Why?
Like, why that? Like, what is your vision for it kind of deal? If it makes sense.
Like his vision, or just like why I
Yeah.
picked it?
His vision.
Okay. I can see that. So let me give you guys some background info on this. Okay. So the artist, like I said, Sam Gilliam, he was born in 1933, and he actually died not too long ago at the age of 88 in 2022. And I think that's something very important about this, which might not seem important at first, but he was an African American artist. This artwork was created in 1971, and I kind of just did a lot of research about this project in specifics, because at first I think you guys kind of look at it and you're like, it's just a sheet with paint. And so I'm like, okay, like that's what I first saw it as for a while too. I'm like, okay, let me look like a little bit into this. And so I'm thinking about the name, and I'm like, Carousel Merge. Okay. So typically children are drawn to carousels. And like I consider carousels to be like colorful, kind of like playful thing. Like I don't know if you remember, like as a
Yeah.
kid, like it was typically like the center attraction of like the parks.
Oh, definitely. I always wanted to go on the carousels.
Like I would always look, and like all the animals would be like different colors, or like super absurd
Mhm.
colors, or like things that like didn't make sense.
I'd have to find like the prettiest horse, and then that one would be the one that I would go on.
I was always looking for the tiger as a kid. I was
Ooh.
like, where's the tiger? Like a sea creature that didn't have legs. I'm like, where are they?
Yeah.
But I don't think that like carousels are ever like the same. You know, like the no carousel looks the same as another. Like they have the same like idea, but each is a different concept. And so I find that really interesting. And then also when I think of carousels, like, you know, they're really, I don't think they're really fast, but like they're fast enough for a kid to enjoy without like hopefully getting sick. And so like when you kind of look at it, it just becomes like a blur.
Yeah.
So that alone, I feel like says a lot to me, which we can dive into later. But, you know, it's like you said, it's like typically the thing that kids run to first, because it's like it's a middle ground for like every age, because it's like I feel like I
Yeah.
could enjoy it as an adult, or like if I was a mom or a dad, or like if I had a kid, like
Mhm.
like I can like happily enjoy the carousel while holding like my child like on top of the thing, and like a child is always going to enjoy it as well. So it's like I'd still go on a carousel now, and I'm 19.
No, definitely. It's like, because some of those like kid roller coasters I would not want to go on as a parent, but I feel like I'd go on a carousel.
Stone, do you have like amusement parks? Like, is that kind of like the main attraction in Georgia?
I mean, from where I'm from, which would be like Perry, Georgia, we live right next to the state fairgrounds, which is we own as Perry wise,
Mm-hmm.
and that comes around once a year, sometimes twice, depending on the season. And then we just have a bunch of factories that are up in Atlanta. That's like the Coca-Cola factory, and
Ooh.
I
Coca-Cola.
think Six Flags, if I remember, but that's about it.
Do they have one at Six Flags? Probably should have researched that, but
A carousel?
yeah,
Yeah, they do.
They
It's
should.
like the center, and then everything's kind of like around it.
I know I don't like roller coasters because I get motion sickness really easy.
Mhm.
But like that's the one thing that I won't get like motion sickness on. Is like a carousel.
Yeah.
So it's like something to always just enjoy, you know. And I know that I believe at Wisconsin State Fair we have one too, right? I think we do in like the kid area. But it's a little smaller.
Probably, yeah. That
Mhm.
would make sense.
So I decided to go further into research, right? So there is a carousel that is currently in Washington, D.C. It was built in 1947. I'll pull up see if I have a picture of it really quick just to show you guys. So this is the carousel. It's just like kind of a small picture I took from an article.
Okay. Very interesting.
Nice. I've seen that and it looks familiar.
Really?
You've seen it in person? Or
No, it just looks familiar
Oh, okay.
to one I've seen.
Yeah, I think I might have actually gone to this because it is in DC, and I've been to DC a fair amount of times.
Mm-hmm.
But so just a little background info. Like I said, it was built in 1947, and it's actually in front of the Smithsonian's Arts and Industries building. And so just to get like a little bit kind of touchy on some things, for a very long time it was forbidden to Black children, and now it is currently to be removed for renovations, but will return back to the same location in 2026 for its 250th anniversary. And, I actually kind of thought about this, and, I talked to my professor about it, and I think it's really interesting. Like, obviously, like, Sam Gilliam was African American, and I think, like, kind of lining up the timelines with this, like, do you think, in a sense, like, he named this, like, Carousel Merge because, like, of the hardship that, like, young African American children had to go through, knowing that they were not able to do the same things back then as white individuals were. And it's like it's very empowering to know that, like, or to, like, kind of, I don't want to say no because we're not 100% sure, but view it as that, because there's also this photo, and I don't remember who it was by. I can insert the artist later, but this is like a photo of these African American children looking through a fence at an amusement park, and there's that for you guys.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. But this is not the same artist; it's a different artist.
Wow.
And so, I just think that it is very insightful to know that, Sam could be creating this project where it's all colorful and happy-go-lucky, even though, like, the history behind it might not be as happy-go-lucky, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I really do find that enlightening because, maybe he might have experienced, like, such things as a kid where, not being let into certain places, and, like, that was a really tough time for a lot of people. And, like, I feel like a lot of people still, or obviously a lot of African Americans still struggle with that, for not being accepted in a sense, which is obviously not right. Like, everyone should be treated equally no matter what. Like, I don't think race or color defines absolutely anything. So it's like, I really just, like, I always, like, found myself in front of this piece, and I was never sure why. And now I kind of get it, if that makes sense. Like, I just really like the idea of, like, change, and, like, I feel like Sam was trying to exhibit the change that is constantly going on in life, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I think that's a really interesting, like, concept to think about, because, I mean, if you look at a carousel, you wouldn't think, like, oh, it's just for, like, a certain type of people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you would think, like, oh, it's just a fun ride for anyone to go on of all ages. But it's interesting to, like, learn about how history kind of, like, divided everyone, even with, like, things used for entertainment purposes.
Yeah.
That's not something, like, we've ever really learned about, or I've thought about personally.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any thoughts on this, Tom?
No, just more thinking about, like, just how unfair it was back then, mostly.
Mm-hmm.
Where all kids of age should just have fun and play and not really worry, but they really did have to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's just, like, very interesting to see something exhibited as such a colorful and playful piece. But, like, when you figure out more and more about it, it gets very, like, unsettling to a point, and very sad, because, like, that's just, like, that's not something a lot of people would like to think about, but it's something that happened. And, like, I just think that, like, thinking about it would really help, like, and really thinking about the change that has occurred for the past tens, hundreds of years, and, like, where we are today, like, how we got into this podcast studio versus, like, does that kind of make sense?
Yeah.
It makes total sense. I mean, there's a little bit still going on today, no matter where you find it.
Hmm.
So,
And I hope that we can also progress to, as a society, and continue moving forward from it, because that is terrible. Nobody should be treated like that at all. And like, no one ever should have been treated like that. And I think we've made like great strides, but like there's still a lot to go. And I hope like society can continue moving forward with that.
Me too.
So just to kind of take a break from that, I'm going to get in a little personal talk. So a little bit of a trigger warning for you guys. Talks of abuse. So if you want to skip, you're more than welcome to skip. So I think just having a little personal talk with ourselves and some questions to think about is, are we always looking for a carousel? And that sounds really crazy to say, but like, are we always looking for that centerpiece and that constant change and that light in our life? You know what I mean? It's kind of like the heart. Like, what are we looking for? And, like I was kind of saying before, do you think that Gilliam knew, as a colored man, the injustice within the community amongst black children, or do you think it was kind of just a coincidence amongst that? I think it's something to really think about, and, viewers and listeners also think about that as well, because now everyone is encouraged to write a carousel. There should be no means of race, and I picked this piece mainly because every time I go to the art museum, and I go there a lot, I go like a few times a year, kind of depending, but the last time I went, I believe, was like February of 2023. Yeah, I went to receive my Scholastic Award because I got something in the art museum, and I took a picture in front of it because I thought in my eyes, I was like, oh, this looks pretty. And like I never really took like a nice photo in front of it. I should really do that. And I'll pull up the photo. Just a cute photo.
I really like that.
Yeah, if you've seen my Instagram, it is on my Instagram.
nice.
And so I took a photo in front of it, and I was like, something seems just kind of off about this. And why am I so attracted to such a simplistic piece of art that, in a sense that almost anyone can make?
Yeah.
And so I really did a lot of thinking, and I thought back to like August of 2022. I went to the art museum with my boyfriend at the time. And during that time, I was suffering just a little bit of abuse, nothing physical, just a lot of verbal aggression and things like that. And, I remember I didn't take a photo in front of this thing. We sat at two different benches, so there was one in front of this one, and then right next to it, like the piece next to it with the bench in front of it, is this like big brown cloth, and it's like cut up, and it's like cut into little strips. I can't remember the name of it, but if you've been to the art museum, you might know what I'm talking about. And I remember my boyfriend went to go sit by the brown one, and I went to go sit by the colorful one. And I was like, I feel like something about that felt off, but I didn't take a picture of it. And I just kind of went about my day after that. And it was something that really bugged me. I don't know why. Like, I thought about this piece a lot. I was like, this is like giving me a sense of happiness I didn't know I had. And so then I went back to the art museum February 2023, which I believe was the first time I had went back. And this was the second time I had gone this year, because the first time I went to receive my award, and then the second time I had went this year, 2023, was to show my other then boyfriend at the time, different one, this art piece, like that I had in the museum. And I remember like also looking at that piece again, and I was like, oh, like this thing is still here, but they removed the bench from it, and the brown one still had a bench. The colorful one, like Carousel Merge, did not have a bench anymore, and it bugged me, because it felt like a part of me had kind of just left. And I really thought about myself as a whole and how I'm constantly changing and how I went from being at such a dark point in my life to being here, you know, and like I'm no longer dating either of them and I no longer have affiliations with either. And I just find it amazing to see how far I've kind of come, you know, and I haven't been back since that time, which really bugs me and I would like to go back, but I can't tell you like the last time I went alone to the art museum. And I think that it's really a humbling thing to think about because why was I constantly bringing people that I loved here, but they were never staying with me? And, you know, it obviously right now it's for the better, but at the time I was like, why do I keep doing this? Like, why do I bring people I love here? Like, they just create bad memories with me anyways. But like the reality is that like I needed that. Like, I needed to experience all that to move on from myself and, you know, figure out the person I am now. And like now, like, I am a single woman and like free of like a lot of things I was not free of a very long time ago. And like, I just remember like so down like all the time in like 2022 when I was in this relationship and how I went from that then to something a little bit more healthier, but you know, still might have not been the best. And now I'm here and I'm like, is this where I'm supposed to be? Like, am I good? And like, what would it be like if I go back and I visit this piece again? Because it feels personal. It feels like it's mine. Even though it's not, it feels like it's mine. Because whenever I go there, I'm the only one staring at it. And it's like, if I go back there, is that bench going to be there? Because it's been almost over a year. Or no, it has been over a year. So, you know, I think that relating this back to the title and like me talking about the carousel is like there's a constant uncertainty to life and you never know who is going to stay and who's not. And so we could consider this in a sense the carousel of life, of like we are constantly changing and like nobody ever stays for sure. And you hope those people stay, but it's never a guarantee that they will. And life is always moving on and life is always changing and, you know, the colors in your life are never for certain. And I think I'm at a place in life where I hope that, you know, a lot of the people that I have right now will stick with me, but I'm never like for sure, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I just think that's very interesting and like, you know, I should really go back alone, to be honest. I haven't had the time. I'm in college now.
Yeah.
I'm a working woman. I don't live in Milwaukee as of right now.
Yeah. I mean, you should go back by yourself and you should see how it makes you feel. But kind of what I got out of the story was like the bench still being where he sat is kind of like he stayed the same while you like grew and blossomed into like a beautiful, amazing person. And I think like you are very
It's okay.
You are like very colorful to me. And I think that you are a great representation of that piece, if that makes sense.
Right.
In a way. But I also think that it is like good to look back on like the carousel of life. Like a carousel goes round and around. And if you never get off of it, you can never like go and do other things, you know?
Yeah, it's like you're in an endless loop.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're just stay on, you're just constantly going through the same thing with a different, like if you're on a different horse, you're doing the same thing, like with a different person. And then just like Abby said, since that bench moved, it's like you technically moved on as well.
Mm-hmm.
And something new comes in the light.
Yeah.
And that's how I see it as. But I definitely agree with Abby when sometimes you just got to get off for a while before getting back on.
Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, like I now kind of going off of what you said, it's like, all right, I got off my carousel. Because you like no carousel is the same. They all have the same idea, but they never look the same. You'll never see one that looks the same.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, did I hop on a different one? And if I did, how long am I staying on it? You know?
Mm-hmm.
And like what colors consist of that?
That's definitely like something that, I mean, the individual dictates whether they stay on for however long or not. And I feel like what I was like thinking is like the carousel, you stay on for however long, you get off, and you like grow, I guess. Because like obviously we went on carousels when we were younger, and then we grew, and then we went on them again, and we grew some more. So I feel like it's a really good representation of like the change in life, like you were saying.
Because we've never like been on the same carousel, and if we do, we get bored of it. You know,
Yeah.
we're like, oh, I've already been on
Like-
this animal. Oh, I've already, you know.
Yeah, it's like it seems fun at first for a while, but then you get really tired of it, and you're just like, I'm done. And there's been a certain point in time to where people will be on the carousel for so long to where they're just like, this isn't fun anymore. I'm done with like everything. And that would be the factor of life. Life would be the carousel. You would be the significant person. You can have fun in the beginning, but sometimes you have to branch off before coming back.
Yeah.
Sorry to get all sad, everyone. we're doing good. We're wrapping up in a minute anyways. So just to kind of wrap up, you know, just a few kind of questions. Like just very broad questions, you know. Kind of fun-ish, maybe. I don't know. But do you guys consider this piece? And if you need to look at it again, let me know. A sculpture or a painting?
Sculpture.
Yeah, I'd say more sculpture.
Do you
Because
guys-
while it's not like
Yeah.
out of clay or like what typically a sculpture would be made out of, I feel like it was kind of like molded in a sense. But I do get the painting aspect because obviously it's like, it looks like they put like, I don't know, like threw paint balloons at it in a way. That's what it looks like to me. But no, I would definitely say more of a sculpture.
I think it's a sculpture, more of just like it's, even though it's not made out of clay, like Abby said, it's like set in stone as of like life. But then you look at it from a colorful standpoint, whereas life is very colorful and out there, but it's always going to be set in stone on what's going to happen if you go through those paths. And then you get the colorful sculpture / painting.
So, would you guys consider it to be both? Or are you sticking with your answer?
I'm going to say more of a sculpture. But also, like, I could see, like, I don't know if you would call it, like, a model.
Right, I get what you mean.
But I don't know if it's a painting.
You're still sticking with yours?
Mhm.
You're still with, like, sculpture?
Yeah.
So, technically, it is considered both, which I don't have the direct source up. I should have pulled it up. Gosh darn it. But it is considered both. Which I think is very enlightening because, you know, you don't really see things anymore that are like two things. Yeah. It's either a painting, especially in the Milwaukee Art Museum. You can only see so much of that. Like, I know there's maybe a few I can consider both. That I think is very interesting because it is technically considered both. So I wonder how many other things are like considered both in the Milwaukee Art Museum or like between Milwaukee Art Museum and Institute of Chicago, which I think is very interesting. So, like, another quick question. What does this like look like for you guys at a first glance?
I mean, like I said before, it's kind of like, to me, it looked like a circus tent in a way. Just with all the colors and like the way it's hanging.
When I look at it, it's more of just like, when I look at it, I just see shapes of like carnival tents because of the points at the top. Just makes me think of just clowns and everything.
Ooh, clowns. I didn't even think of that, to be honest, because like I kind of thought of it and I was like I just wrote down like a list of things that it could be, which is like super interesting. So like I kind of wrote down, I was like, it kind of looks like someone was hanging their laundry.
Okay, yeah, I can see that.
Like a dirty sheet of some kind, but like I don't want to call it dirty because like I feel like when you say things are dirty, Like it's like brown or like,
It's like a negative connotation.
yeah, it's a negative
Yeah.
connotation. So like a altered sheet, maybe like a stained rug too. Kind of looks like
Right.
someone spilled like various things of wine on their rug. And something you might see is a blanket, or in a sense, like relating it back to like kind of the kid aspect of things, like modern day tie dyeing of like shirts and other fabrics, you know, like things that you do when you're bored. Like, I don't know about you guys, but like when I was like a kid or like when I was like a preteen, I'd be like, Mom, like what crafts do we have right now? And like we had a craft drawer. Maybe that's a Wisconsin thing. I don't know.
I had a craft drawer too.
Did you have a craft drawer?
Hmm?
Do you have a craft drawer?
I ain't have nothing like that.
Well, you're
We're
from
also girls.
yeah,
Yeah,
we're
I'm
true.
like,
Okay,
dude,
not trying to like stereotypes of.
No, it's okay.
Not
It's-
bad.
I had like WWE figures. I don't.
well,
or
I like
TV.
WWE too as a kid.
I didn't really have anything like that. Either that or I was always out.
Did your mom?
Did your mom have a craft drawer? I should have asked. Cause like
No.
apparently I figured out junk drawers are only like a Wisconsin thing.
Oh really?
Junk drawer?
The like
Yeah.
random
Yeah.
like
No, it's
screwdrivers
everywhere.
and
No, I
no. We also only
Craft
have
drawer?
cheese drawers. I
What is a
think.
craft drawer?
like a drawer that literally has like random crafts. So like my mom, when I was younger, she would buy like if she was like at the dollar store or something, or she was at Michael's and she'd be like, oh, this is cheap, and then she'd buy it and put it in the craft drawer, and then like
Yeah.
we just never used it unless
Yeah,
like
no,
It was like
we-
literally
family came
and,
over,
like,
it was-
We just had a
scraps of
junk drawer, not a
paper.
craft drawer.
Did
Okay.
you have a cheese drawer?
No.
Sorry.
No.
No. Damn it.
I am from the South. We do not have anything like that.
Okay, just asking.
if I got bored as a kid and like my mom didn't want me on my phone, she'd be like either go outside or make a craft. And so I'm
Yeah.
like,
Dang, you guys had phones as a kid?
Stone.
I mean like
We're talking about crafts here.
when I was like a
I know.
preteen
Yeah.
or like before, and I'd be like, Mom, can I go on your phone? And she'd be like, no, like go outside or make a craft. And so I'd like go in a craft drawer and like I'd grab like
I said, man, I had a flip phone. I had.
You had a flip phone? I had fake flip phones. Like they were play phones.
I didn't get a regular phone until I was like 13.
really.
Flip
Interesting.
phone for a fat minute, and only had like I used up all my minutes in one day, and then I was outside.
I feel like I don't think I ever had a minutes phone.
Man,
I just like took an iPod and I was like, yeah, this is my phone. But my mom would be like, go in the craft drawer. And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay. And then like I remember I tried tie dyeing once and it was just like awful. It looked so bad. I was like, I'm never doing this again. But like maybe that kind of kid aspect of like trying things out,
Yeah, like making a mess.
making a mess and having fun, you know,
Yeah.
because like maybe with the constant thing of change, like nothing is ever forever. So like I feel like if you tie dye something, it's forever, but also you're experimenting.
True.
Mm-hmm. So like, you know, some mistakes are forever, some are not, but
Yeah.
a majority of them aren't. All right, I think I'm gonna do this last question, and it's kind of a random one. It's not really exciting, but you know, I'm gonna ask it. So I'll show you the photo again if you need. Do you think the knot placement on this piece was random or intentional?
The like knot of like where it hung?
Yeah.
I mean, I personally feel like if they hung it up as like a straight cloth, it wouldn't give that same like vibe in a way
Mm-hmm.
and make you think.
I'll show you the photo quick.
So I
But it's pretty cool, isn't it?
it is. I do like that.
I think it's like, and also I will say like, to a sense in the art community, it's rare to find photos like these.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's why I try to take a lot of process photos. So then, like, if something were to ever go a little bit bigger, then, like, I have those.
Yeah.
And, like, a big thing within the art community and when you're doing art is you should create process photos
Mhm.
and have those process photos for your portfolio so then they can see, like, you know, kind of the change and the evolution of things, which I also
Yeah.
think is very interesting, relating back to his idea of change. But do you think them hanging it like maybe like having that one area, like the third section, being a little lower than the rest might be like intentional, or you just kind of like, you know, oh, it's not that deep, or like,
I mean, if we're going off the ideas of like change throughout life, it kind of goes with like the paths of life. So like you have your ups and you have your downs. And sometimes there's more ups than downs. Sometimes it's like a drastic change. So I feel like if we go with that, I personally feel like it's probably intentional.
What do you think, Stone?
I want to agree with Abby only because like I feel like it is random, but I just don't even know. You know what I mean? I
Yeah,
feel
like
it's both.
like we're not for sure, but like
Yeah, I'm not
it's
positive
definitely
either.
okay. Right. I think that is an
I feel like
interesting-
it could be.
Right. I think that is a very interesting take, to be honest. And if I'm corrected, that should be the end of our notes, guys.
Woo!
Yay! We did our first podcast.
Woot, woot.
Woot woot. Yeah,
Woot
what
woot.
Stone said. I feel like I'm not sure if we should ever keep this podcast going. I feel like you guys would be like so irritated. I'm just gonna be like how I was today. Like if like you guys, I don't like listeners. I was a freaking mess right before this
I'm
podcast.
just tired and I only had like 2 hours of sleep, so
I know I didn't get much sleep either.
I'm just here.
makes sense.
Abby has the most sleep probably out of all of us. No, it's not even that. It's like right before this podcast. Like I was stressing all day. I was stressing like for the past week, and I was like, okay, we gotta get this done. And I couldn't get a time in. I finally got a time in, and then like it takes me a bit to walk back from my class. My class ended at 3:20, and now this started at 3:45, and I just, Abby knew how stressed I was. I like she was already out the door, and then Stone was in someone else's room, and I'm like, Stone, we gotta go. And I was like freaking out. I was like, we gotta go. We're gonna be late.
I gotta talk to my man Vegas.
Shout
No,
out
you don't. You can talk any other time.
Shout out to Vegas if you're listening.
Shout out to Vegas.
We love you, Vegas.
We do.
Well, baby.
Oh my god, this scene. Yeah, no, I was just a mess, and I know this is going to be a little bit of a pain to edit. I'll procrastinate it, but like I also had to make a YouTube channel like official right before this too, so I'm like, well,
I like podcasting. It's so fun.
I know I like whispering into the camera. I feel like this is an ASMR.
You mean the microphone?
You know, Stone's gonna say something.
What up, baby?
It's just it's the best Stone impression you could have had, but yeah, that is an episode. It's our first episode of Artful Insights. Woo! We don't know if we'll make more, because this was supposed to just be a class project, but I kind of enjoyed it, and I really wanted to make it for my portfolio as well. So, thank you guys so much for listening. I have been your host, Marcella.
Abby.
Stone.
Okay, we love you guys. Bye-bye.
Peace out, homies.